With Daredevil Season 3 being out for a while now, I think it's the perfect time to do a review of the entire season. And of course, as the title implies, there will be spoilers in this video, so you have been warned. How's it going, Webheads? My name is Ryan Walsh. So I personally was really excited for Season 3 of Daredevil to come out because honestly, I'm a huge fan of the Daredevil character. I always have been. And honestly, I really liked what they've done with Daredevil in the Netflix universe. A lot more than I liked all the other shows like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones. All those shows were fine except for Iron Fist. I think everybody really just knows that Iron Fist isn't that great. But when it comes to Daredevil, I've always felt as though that show is really just put on the highest pedestal because it's always been consistently good. It's never had, in my opinion, a bad season. So that's why I've been really looking forward to Season 3. But even more than just the show itself, I was really just excited to see Kingpin return as the big baddie, and I wanted him to really just reclaim the city as it was his. And we knew in Season 2 that they were planning on doing this for the next season, so I was really excited to see that. And we knew Bullseye was going to be in this season because he was in the trailer, so I was really excited to see what they were going to do with that character, because in the comic books he doesn't have this huge backstory. He's really just one of those typical villains that's in a comic book, and he's evil because he's evil, and there's really not much thought put into the character. So I was really happy to see in Season 3 that we got so much Bullseye in this, and there was so much backstory and detail put into the character. One of my favorite episodes throughout the entire season is the one where they focus on Bullseye and tell his entire origin story and why exactly he's so messed up in his head and why it's so easy for him to turn into a bad guy. Because in the beginning of the show, he was with the FBI, so I was thinking to myself, well, how the heck are they going to turn this guy? It must be like a huge storyline they're going with, and that's exactly what happened. They literally just did an entire episode on him, and it was well deserved. Much better than that Karen Page episode, in my opinion. That one wasn't needed, but this one was. The whole Bullseye backstory, it was just phenomenal. I can't say enough about it. I really loved how they dove into why he gets his powers, how he was able to get that amount of accuracy, and also why he was a psychopath. I love that they really went back into his story and they showed you that he needed to rely on one person to show him how to care for other people and how to be nice to other people. But of course, I love what they did when they were like, okay, he needs another person to rely on. How about he relies on the Kingpin? And of course, when he relies on the Kingpin, that's when he gets completely flipped, and it's so easy for the Kingpin to flip him to a bad guy. It makes so much sense that that's what happened and why he turns to Kingpin's side. I will say I am a little disappointed that we didn't get a official Bullseye costume. I was hoping that we were going to get one probably towards the end of the season, but obviously he was just in the Daredevil uniform the entire time. I personally was a fan of him being in the Daredevil costume at first. I thought that was really cool, and then I wish they put him in a new costume, but unfortunately we didn't get that. Hopefully if they have a Season 4, we do get to see Bullseye in a full Bullseye costume. I would love to see them make one, but as the views drop 57% on Netflix for the Daredevil Season 3, I don't think we're going to get a Season 4, unfortunately, but at least we did get the character on screen and we got a really good Season 3. And I have to say the fighting between Daredevil and Bullseye was some of the best fights in all 3 seasons. When you can just see Bullseye is Daredevil and he's just throwing around all these random objects, I thought that was some of the best fighting in the entire season, mainly because Daredevil couldn't go toe-to-toe with Bullseye. Bullseye was destroying him every single time, and I don't think Matt Murdock beat Bullseye once throughout the entire season. I'm pretty sure Kingpin is the only one to actually take out Bullseye fully. And I have to say, Bullseye all around was just way better than that 2003 version that we got. Also, seeing him at the end when Kingpin broke his back and he's getting operated, for those of you that don't know his comic book backstory, but he has adamantium in his bones. So if you guys don't know what adamantium is, that's one of the strongest metal in the Marvel Universe. And this is a huge Easter egg for Wolverine because Wolverine's entire skeleton is made up of adamantium. So when they're putting it in Bullseye, that's really just probably telling you that Wolverine is within this universe. And we do know that the MCU is connected with the Daredevil Netflix series. Obviously, they don't really mention each other all that much, but they are connected. So maybe this is what brings the X-Men into the MCU, and then maybe when Wolverine's in there, they could mention Bullseye. That kind of ties in the Daredevil Netflix series into the MCU, and we could see a Daredevil and Wolverine team up down the road. Obviously, that was way off topic, but honestly, that's what I was thinking the entire time the operation was happening. Now, Matt Murdock definitely was left off in a weird place with the Defenders and how he died with Elektra. Obviously, everyone knew he was going to come back because they had a season 3 coming out. So with this, they started off that Matt Murdock was just done as Daredevil. He really has given up on Daredevil as a whole, and he's really depressed that, you know, Elektra died, obviously, so it makes total sense. But I have to say, I really did like how they were focusing on Matt Murdock a lot in this entire season. That's something that I definitely was missing from season 2. I felt like the entire attention was not towards Matt Murdock and Daredevil. Instead, it was towards the Punisher and the Hand and Elektra, and we just didn't get enough of Daredevil in that season, in my opinion. But I'm really happy with this one. They were focusing on Daredevil and Matt Murdock a lot more than they were the other seasons. And of course, his whole goal throughout the entire season was to really just stop the Kingpin, which makes total sense. In which I do have to mention as well that I thought there were definitely like 1 or 2 too many episodes, because with 13 episodes, that's 13 hours of just straight up Daredevil, and usually a movie is only like 2.5 hours with these superhero movies. So usually with these Netflix series, they run a little too long, but with this one, I have to say, it wasn't that bad where I noticed that it was dragging on. I thought it had a great build up throughout the entire season to the ending, and I think that you could have cut out the Karen Page episode because I thought that wasn't that great, and probably a little bit out of each episode that were just kind of filler, and you would have a much better season. But for some reason, they stick to that 13 episodes. I personally don't know why, but now really just on to Kingpin. I thought he was handled perfectly throughout the entire season. Exactly what I wanted. What I wanted coming out of season 2 and what they were teasing throughout season 2 is just seeing Kingpin come back into the city and how he gets out of jail. Obviously, he isn't really in jail because he has so many people that he pays off within the jail, and he literally is just living in luxury in prison. And when the FBI is getting involved in this season, I thought they did such a good job showing exactly how powerful Kingpin is without using any sort of abilities. He really just can manipulate the system. He knows how to work people, and he knows how to work these government agencies. And I loved how they showed that throughout the entire season, which was just really good. And I will say that I was pretty disappointed with the last fight scene with Kingpin versus Matt Murdock. I thought they were going to have a bigger battle, but it ended up just kind of like Kingpin gave up. I felt like Kingpin gave up at the end of it, and they could have had it drag out a little bit longer, but that's just my opinion. And I do have to talk about Ray Nadeem in this entire season. He was a part that I was actually really nervous about when he first got introduced, and I noticed he was showing up a lot in the season. I was like, oh, are they just going to be doing a lot of like Ray Nadeem in this entire season? But, you know, I thought they handled him really well, and I was really happy to see the other perspective of like an FBI agent and how he handles his entire situation and how he got played by Kingpin so badly. Honestly, I thought they did a great job with that character, and they made a boring character really, really entertaining. I thought he was going to be extremely boring, but I was so surprised. But overall, Daredevil Season 3, I personally thought was a great build-up for the entire season, where you see what happens at the end of the Defenders with Matt Murdock. You build up that entire season. I feel like most of the episodes, they used the time wisely, where they not only built up Matt Murdock, they built up Matt Murdock's friends, Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, also building up Bullseye, the new villain, and showing his entire backstory, and then Kingpin as well, and Ray Nadeem. All those characters were really well done in the season. Personally, if this is the last season of Daredevil, I have to say I think they went out with a bang, and I think they did better than any other season, and that's why I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. But of course, Webheads, let me know what you guys thought of Daredevil Season 3 in the comments below. If you guys want more honest fan reviews just like this one, definitely be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. Webheads, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.